What's up, everybody? This is Marshall Lee of DonkeyJobProjects.com, and today we're going to be talking about finding time to do your creative projects, to do your art, to do your comic books, all that good stuff. And, if you're anything like me, sometimes that can be a difficult task. I've found a lot of victory in this, but I've also gone back into having a hard time with this at different times. And as of recently, say this year, I've definitely struggled with it. Mostly the thing is I just had a beautiful baby boy, and I'm super happy, super excited. My wife and I are just over the moon in love with this boy, and it's so awesome, and I'm so excited about that. However, leading up to having the baby, we were in preparation mode, as you could imagine, or maybe have probably or possibly have experienced as well at some point. And so it, took a lot of time to get ready for the baby, and this is our first time, having a baby, and it's there's a lot of unknowns. Neither of us have done this, so we had a lot of research to do. We had to organize a baby shower. Luckily, we had help with my mother and things like that to organize that. But there were some things we had to do, and we have other things, all kinds of things. We have jobs and all that stuff. So being as busy as we are, and also trying to work on stuff at the house and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it just, so much stuff comes in, and to be honest, leading up into actually having the baby, and also, dealing with what pregnancy is, trying to be there for my wife and things like that. It all takes time. That's the point. We all have things that take our time, and then we had the baby, beautiful baby boy once again, and that I just I didn't want to take time away from the baby to say, oh, I'm gonna make comics right now, when I could be enjoying this moment, this beautiful moment. So it's okay. There's nothing wrong with having these times in your life where maybe your art, your creativity takes a little bit of a back seat. However, that can't go on perpetually forever. I mean, it can, but I don't want that to happen. For me personally, creating art, being creative in general is such a huge part of my life. It's so important to me. It has been my whole life. It's more than just making products and putting them out into the world. In fact, that's often secondary for me, even though it's important to me as well. So that being said, what can we do? And I'm sure, like, a lot of you are probably in this predicament. I know this for a fact because, I've had extensive time chatting with friends, other creative friends about this very topic, So, and if you've followed my channel, you've witnessed lots of that. So what can we do? Well, first of all, as I was kind of talking about before, we need to prioritize our art. There comes a point in time where it's like, you're not going to have time unless you make time. So we need to prioritize that art. For me, again, it's literally a question of mental and emotional health. I'm healthy enough without it, sure. Relative, it's not like I'm on the edge of the brink of destruction or anything, if I'm not creating art. But at the same time, there's something where my life I need to create. It's something that has been put into me, I believe, by God, and it's just something I can't really go for too long without, or else I start to get a little depressed. I start to get sad, all the different things. And I really do believe it's almost a form of mental and emotional health. It definitely is, actually. It helps me just have the context of life that brings a lot of joy and things like that. So it's important. And so there's that. And, I also would like to make it into a career. That's always been part of my goal. That's always going to probably be part of my goal. So there's that as well. But again, that's secondary. It's really the getting into it and making the art. That's the important part for me. I have things I want to say. I have stories I want to tell, things like that as well. So there's a lot of reasons why it's important for me to prioritize that work. And if I don't take the time if I don't make the time, it's not going to make itself. So, that's what we have to do in order to get things done. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, for me, I had a studio room. However, I noticed that I wasn't getting into that studio room very often. And, I've also was thinking, well, eventually this room's going to go to my son or, my kids or whatever. Like, I'm going to have to figure out something different. So I didn't really have a good space to do anything as of recently. So what I did was I realized, I need to make a different space for me. I need to be more mobile. And in the past, I've done a lot of comics and done a lot of things just by making it so I can work on the couch, sitting on the couch or something with my iPad, or even with a board. Like I used to have these wooden boards that I would put, my 11 by 17 paper on and work on my comics on the couch while, we're watching TV. And it's like, well, I don't necessarily care that much about the shows. I care more about spending time with my family, for one, but I also care more about doing art, so I can be with my family and still kind of do some art. So sometimes that's a solution, that can be a solution. So make space for yourself one way or another. But for me, what I ended up doing recently is I moved the essentials of my studio into the living room. So now at any point in time, I can easily just jump over to my desk, spend 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, instead of trying to go into my room and make sure, if I'm watching the baby, I have the baby with me. And so the living room is where we live, we spend most of our time in this room, and that's where I am now. And so that's what I'm doing now. I've made a space where it's more convenient for me to work on my art, and it's always just right there. And I actually keep it cleaner too, because it gets a mess, but I keep it cleaner because it's always present, so I can always take 5 minutes to neaten it up a little bit. And I also have that reminder, to do that before the next day comes, because what I've also done, and this is number 3, is creating a daily routine. And again, you guys may have seen my progress with things like 100 Days of Making Comics, and I even did that for 2 full years in a row at one point. And so daily routine has served me well personally, and I've created a lot of comics through that means, and created a lot of artwork through, just making sure I spend a little bit of time every day, at least a half an hour more, the best I can. So And it's not always perfect. Sometimes I miss a day here and there, but for the most part, when I get into that routine, I'm actually pretty good at keeping it up. So, that's what I've done lately. And usually for somebody who has a family or just has a busy life, whatever that may be, career, all that stuff, really the best times, and I've heard so many people say this, is before, getting up earlier than everybody else and doing stuff in the morning, or waiting till everybody goes to sleep and doing stuff at night, because you need that time to focus. You need to be able to not have distractions. So for me, it's in the morning. I get up about an hour earlier than I normally would, and I spend time working on stuff. The fourth point would be micro sessions, which is sometimes you can steal a little time in the day here and there, like even sometimes downtime at work and things like that. I find, time to write a little bit of a story ideas, or, even do like a little sketch or something of something that's been on my mind. It's not often, right now I'm very busy at work. So it's not so possible, but once in a while, I don't necessarily advocate for doing this, because that's kind of stealing time away from work and stuff. But, I do it like on my lunch break and stuff. Like I'll have my sketchbook. I have a sketchbook in my car. So this is another thing, is putting like sketchbooks or whatever it is that you create with, bringing it with you in places, because I do that. Sometimes I get to work a little bit early. I sit there and I sketch, or I'll write something, or I also make music and stuff. So sometimes I do some music either on my phone, or I have some mobile equipment that I can use, that I bring with me. So finding those little micro sessions can be very valuable. You can get a lot done. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it might be just enough to get things going, and something you could finish later when you do have a little bit more time. And the fifth thing is be kind to yourself. Sometimes, things don't work out. Your routine doesn't work out. You might just get into a situation where, you just, for a prolonged period of time, maybe many months. Like I said, before having this baby and after having this baby, it was probably like a good 6 months where I really didn't do much, creating of any kind, any creative stuff. And, here or there, I might have snuck something in, but really it was a very long time. And that's very long for me. Like I'm always trying to create something, it's rare that I have like that stretch of time where I'm not doing anything. But again, be kind to yourself. Life happens, it's, when it comes down to it, as much as I love my art and stuff, there's a lot of things that are much more important than that. Not that the art isn't important. The art is important. And I don't think it should be a prolonged thing, but there's no reason why you can't make your art a priority. But, when you're in a normal routine, but sometimes your routine changes, or you're in a transition, you're moving, you're getting a new job, you have to focus on school, something like that. Like all these different things, there's a million different things that are like that. And usually you can still fit creativity even when all that stuff is happening. But once in a while, you really do need to take a little bit of a break, knowing that you're going to get back to it, So, and even if it's like, oh, you just missed a day, or something, or you missed, a few days, get back on it, get back in your sketchbook, and put some work in. You can see here that I've been working a lot with mixed media and just different mediums. I've been really enjoying doing that. And I'm probably going to make another video talking a little bit more about that. But, I don't really know how this stuff contributes to making comics, because ultimately that's my medium, comic books. I really want to make comic books. But I love all this stuff, and exploring these things is helping me to figure out how I'm going to make comic books in the future, with a little bit of a different mindset than I have in the past. So I'm really excited about that. So, when it comes down to it, just make sure you be kind to yourself. If you take a break, that's okay. You can continue again soon, So, listen, your life is important, and your creativity is also important. And it's worth it to make time for that. And we want to see the thing that you make. You have visions, you have things you want to say, you have stories you want to tell, you have all kinds of creativity you want to share. I've said before, we're created to be creative. I believe that wholeheartedly, and I want to see your creativity, and I want to share my creativity. So I really hope you would do that, share that, and if you have any thoughts, let me know. Like what helps you to, even within a busy life, what helps you to create and continue to be busy making your creative work. I'd love to see in the comments, because I'm always looking for more tips to get this thing going and make progress. Oh, here you can see the studio as it is in the living room nowadays. So anyways, hope you have a great day. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next video.